Okay, last video I went over the Berserker skill tree for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Today I'm going to be going over the Clawbringer skill tree. So Clawbringer is also pretty melee oriented, much like the Berserker. However, it's more of a lightning and fire theme, and they do work a little better with guns than the Berserker did. Focus on fire and lightning damage, Dragon Aura powers the whole party, and whatnot. Starting off with the class feat, Wyvern Companion. Clawbringer is accompanied by a Wyvern Companion that flies through the environment and attacks enemies with its claws and fire breath. Any increase to the Fate Maker's damage also apply to their companions. And that is plural, so if you have another companion based on your multiclass, such as like a Grave Warden or a Spore Warden, this same ability here will apply to your other companion. It's not just the Wyvern. Also, when it says damage, I believe this just means any damage. So gun damage, melee damage, spell damage. Although that's subject to change, I may also just be completely wrong. And for the action skills, Cleansing Flames, Fate Maker summons her hammer, slams into the ground, dealing melee damage. So the initial impact is melee damage, and I presume it is non-elemental. And then it creates a massive fire nova, which deals fire ability damage, or if you played Borderlands 3, ability damage, same thing as action skill damage. Now, Storm Dragon's Judgment. Fate Maker summons their hammer and hurls it, dealing lightning ability damage to all enemies it touches. It sticks wherever it lands and deals lightning melee damage every second to all nearby enemies. Fate Maker can recall the hammer, damage enemies along its path, ending the action skill early, and refunding a portion of the cooldown. So, both classes here, or both action skills, benefit from action skill damage and melee damage boost. Also, this right here deals melee damage every second. So this is repeated melee damage after you throw your action skill. Should be very good for triggering certain skills, and this should be able to critically hit because of how the crit chance and whatnot works in Wonderlands. Now for the actual skills, Tier 1, Oath of Fire, 5 points. Fate Maker deals bonus fire damage with their guns, and their Wyvern Companion deals bonus fire damage. Now, this says bonus damage, not increased damage. So this works much like a bonus element did in Borderlands 3. So regardless of what weapon you are using, it will do fire damage on top of its already listed damage. It's very similar like Fire the Skagden from Moe's, which is a tier 1 skill for her, add fire damage, all of her splash damage, regardless of element. This will function very similarly, adding fire damage to any gun damage you deal. Radiance. Fate Maker gains increased maximum ward capacity. Pretty straightforward, more shield capacity. Oath of Thunder. Fate Maker deals bonus lightning damage with their melee attacks. Wyvern Companion deals bonus lightning damage. So effectively the same thing as Oath of Fire, but it's lightning and melee instead of fire and guns. Dragon Aura. The Fate Maker is surrounded by a Dragon Aura that grants themselves and all allies inside it increased elemental damage. So, just at all times, you have increased elemental damage, and even if you're not using elemental weapons, this works with Oath of Fire and Oath of Thunder. So long as you're spec'd into either of those skills, Dragon Aura will boost your damage. And also, if you're just playing in multiplayer, the skill just becomes better. Your teammates get more damage, and it's just good all around. Dedication. 5-point skill. Fate Maker gains increased action skill cooldown rate. The higher their ward, the greater the bonus. So if you keep your shield up, keep your shield full, you benefit your benefit is shield or cooldown rate. So paid off for having your shield full. Rebuke. Fate Maker gains damage reduction. Additionally, all allies near the Fate Maker gain a chance to reflect damage back to their attackers as lightning damage. So, because this has a different wording, the Dragon Aura, I believe the lightning damage reflection only works for your teammates and does not work for yourself. However, the damage reduction, that applies to yourself. So yeah, that's good at keeping your shield full with dedication. Also, larger shield capacity makes your shield harder to break, which also synergizes dedication. So you're going to have a 3 skill synergy there. gives you some extra cooldown rate. Tier 3, only one skill, 1 point wonder. Blast the Mutt's Favor, kill skill. Killing an enemy with a gun, summons a fire orb, seeks out a new enemy, dealing fire ability damage. Killing an enemy with melee damage, summons a lightning orb, seeks out an enemy, dealing lightning ability damage. So being a 1 point skill, this is a pretty free pickup that just gives you bonus damage and helps you deal with multiple enemies easier, which is especially important when doing a melee build, because melee builds struggle to kill multiple enemies all at once. They tend to get overwhelmed. This skill helps deal with that issue. Also synergizes Dragon Aura. Those orbs will receive the elemental boost from Dragon Aura. Firebolt. Wyvern Companion will occasionally shoot firebolts at enemies, causing damage in an area and leaving a splat. Additionally, the Fate Maker gains increased gun damage. So passive gun damage is just a good thing to have. And if your companions are doing a lot of damage already, the skill gives them an additional attack that helps them deal with lots of enemies all at once. And because of this line of text up here, any increase to Fate Maker's damage also apply to their companion. The gun damage here from Firebolt will boost your companion's damage. So it's 1 point for bonus gun damage. It's pretty good. It's pretty free to pick up. And if you're using your pet also becomes stronger. So it's generally just a good skill to pick up, and skill becomes even better when you're using your pet. Friend of Flame. Fate Maker's Wyvern Companion gains increased damage. So if your pet is good, it's a part of your build, the skill's probably pretty good. If the companion is not part of your build, the skill's pretty much useless. So it can be good, can be not good. Storm Breath. 1 point skill. Wyvern Companion will occasionally use its lightning breath on enemies, causing lightning damage that can arc from enemy to enemy. So like Firebolt, gives area damage to your pet. Additionally, Fate Maker gains increased damage reduction. Damage reduction helps you keep your shield active for dedication, which gives you a cooldown rate to use your action skills more often. To Tier 5, Awe. 3 point skill. After dealing fire damage, Fate Maker gains increased critical hit damage. After dealing lightning damage, the Fate Maker gains increased critical hit chance. So, critical hit chance after dealing lightning damage is very good with Oath of Thunder, because it allows every melee weapon you use to trigger Awe, and critical hit chance is very important for melee weapons in order to get critical hits and give you a lot more damage. And then dealing fire damage increases critical hit damage. Very good on guns. Critical hit damage is generally a good boost to have on your weapons. And having just access to it at all times with Oath of Fire is very good. Now also, if you have a lightning gun and are spec'd into Oath of Fire, even just 1 point into Oath of Fire, every shot from that gun will trigger critical hit damage and critical hit chance because you're doing both lightning and fire damage. So you just get a very good DPS boost. And on the flip side, if you have a fire melee weapon with even just 1 point Oath of Lightning, you will also trigger both of these when you get a melee hit, which gives you kind of a twofold damage bonus. You're more likely to crit with your melee weapon, and those critical hits deal more damage. So Awe is a very powerful skill, and becomes even better because of the Oath skills in Tier 1. Even if you just put 1 point into each of those Oath skills, and then 3 points into Radiance or something, Awe is a very strong skill. Critical hit damage, critical hit chance are just good overall, and are even stronger when you're doing a melee build. Indomitable, 1 point skill. If the Fate Maker would enter Save Your Soul, which is Fight for Your Life, instead, they refill their ward entirely and deal bonus lightning damage for a short time. The skill has a long cooldown. So, Guardian Angel was a skill that Amara had. Did kind of a similar thing. When you went down, you immediately revived, had like a 2-minute cooldown. That skill was good and did see some use in Borderlands 3. However, it offered you no damage, and Amara had really good survivability already, so it wasn't really a great skill. Based on what I've seen, this tree doesn't really have a good way to heal. just mainly just shield stuff. So this Indomitable skill seems very good, while also giving you bonus damage. After you get a revive, so you can kill enemies and clear out the battlefield so you don't go down immediately. Also, it's just 1 point, so if you're going down this tree anyway, might as well pick it up. It's pretty free to grab that skill. And the capstone. Whenever the Fate Maker activates an action skill, they call down elemental bolts to deal fire ability damage or lightning ability damage to all nearby enemies. Now, we don't know how much damage this does yet, so it's hard to tell how good it's going to be. However, it gets boosted by Dragon Aura, and it will trigger things like, it'll trigger Awe. Both the fire damage part and the lightning damage part. And it will also... No, that's it. So it just triggers Awe, and assuming it deals good damage, it's probably just a good ability to have, especially if you're using Dedication to activate your action skill very often, or if you're multi-classing with another class that just has a short cooldown naturally. This skill probably can do lots of work. That's assuming it scales well into the end game, of which we can't really tell right now with the current information we have. So let's see when the game comes out. That's the Clawbringer skill tree. Next video I'll be doing the Graveborn, and when the game comes out, I will be streaming my first playthrough on Twitch. I'll have the link to that in the description, so come check that out, and I'll see you in the next video, which is the Graveborn.